Overload, overload, coming up. And okay, so Mackie, the company that makes the speakers that I really like, the MR624s, was going to send me like this giant set of like earth-ending monitors, like professional hang from the ceiling line array monitors. And they're like, we're going to put those on delay because we're delaying them. Would you like to try one of our headphones instead? And I'm like, okay, because I want those big monitors. So I figured I'd dust these off and just be like, yeah, they're headphones, woo. So they sent me their 450s, or the MC-450s. Let me see exactly what the hell. Yes, the Mackie MC Series Professional Monitoring Open Back Headphone with Leather Headband, MC-450. So that's a rare bird, like just open back professional monitoring headphone. You look at monitoring headphones, most of them aren't. They're not open. They're the 280 Pros, 380 Pros. This is the Neumann's that I love. The only other set that comes, and this has either open or closed, the 350 and 450 is closed and open, are the Shure, the 1540 and the 1840. And I despise the sound of both of them. I'm sure they were dead neutral, but I wanted to die listening to them. And they were beautifully built and $500+. And of course, the Shure 1540 pads are like a known entity. But the 1840s were like the only open back monitoring headphone that I've ever like laid my eyes on. And then we fast forward to the Beyerdynamic 1990s. And although those aren't like advertised as like a studio monitoring headphone, I felt like they had the same qualities that you require in a studio monitoring headphone, which is basically fuck you, all business, neutrality, fuck off. And yet they're somehow so pleasurable. So getting an open back specifically for monitoring and mixing and mastering and saying this is real true sound. When you do mixing, when you are the guy that's like, I made a new song, you know, if you play it back on a $6 set of Walmart earbuds, you're probably not going to have it sound really good. And it's like my system or anyone's other decent headphone. So you got to have like a good baseline. And I am pretty fucking astonished to announce that these are an excellent baseline. They do exactly what I expected and they're not boring. So unlike the Shures, which were spectacularly built and light. Now, if I was going to modify a set of headphones, it'd be Shure 1540s or 1840s, just to make them, give me something. But Mackie's come out with these, which from a glance don't look super impressive. We got that leather headband that is actually leather. They say leather. Unless they're lying to me, it's awfully fucking soft. Like, I mean, what animal? What if this is like some endangered species that they put on this to make it this soft? Perforated leather here. Big bulky design. You could see it sort of looks very, very, very top heavy. Because it is like that. That's the test. If you put your fingers there and it's like, and it's lifting the wire up, it's a very, very, very top heavy setup. And I don't understand why that is, but a lot of monitoring headphones seem to like bulk the shit out of this part of it for some reason. Now I've manipulated the clamp a bit to make it a little bit lighter. And that's either helped or hurt the situation. Because I have noticed if I do this a lot, this will shift on my head. But the overall build is robust as fuck. Like the cups are just too light. They're not weak or like brittle. They're just light. Like if they went with this, if they removed 50% of the weight of the headband on top here, these would compete with like the Sony CDS 900 STs, CD900 STs, yeah. As far as like weight and then sound. So these are the open backs. You can see the grills here. You can see the Mackie Running Man logo, which is their thing. Like, doesn't say, it says Mackie.com there. Just the Running Man logo. Just the Running Man logo. Just the Running Man logo. I'm trying to be Prince up in here. We got to go into this because that's the case it comes with. One of the nicer cases anything's come with. Pads, stock pads. They should sell these stock pads. Mackie has a side business they could get into where they sell really comfortable side pads. These are not memory foam, completely perforated all around. Thick, they kind of look like a brainwaves, but they're not. They've even got some stitching around here, which I don't know if that holds multiple pieces together, holds the foam in place, but you can kind of tell when there's a cheap pad and when there's an expensive pad because it holds its shape perfectly. Like there's never any bunching or anything. And so this is a nice pad. Open back, tilt. It tilts in completely flat like that. Wire input on the left-hand side. The wire, I should get to the wires now. We're going to get to how they sound. They sound good. Stick around for that. The wires, you have 3 choices because I don't want to be left in the dark when we have choices for wires. One, long. Am I going to roll over anything important? Long. Ooh, Archer. Cloth covered cable. What is this, 10 feet? It's got to be 3 meters or 10 feet. And it's still a little bit jank because I didn't like stretch it out with some weights. But it's thick. It's thicker than a goddamn V-motor cable for sure. And if this straightens out, it's pretty nice. It ends here in a, I almost dropped it, an unscrewable 3.5 millimeter with a 1/4 inch adapter, which I currently have plugged into the Rebel amp, or we could switch it to the Topping A90, which is obviously the benchmark amp, but not made by and the actual headphone itself has a 3.5 millimeter plug. It's a little deep. It's a little deep, and the stock cables it comes with have little locks on them. So you can plug in a standard 3.5 millimeter cable, but these you can just do that to guarantee it doesn't pull out because you're doing critical mixing applications. You don't want to just lose your headphone plug. That would be ridiculous. Left and right indicators are either the L and R here, or there's a green ring, because that's Mackie's sort of color, is like they go with this green thing. So you got that, black and green. The headband adjusts with a very, like, it's clicky, but it's so fine. Like, listen, like, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's like 25 clicks on either side, so you can get it absolutely fitting. You put them on. As long as the weight on the top headband isn't screwing with you and moving around, they're extremely comfortable. Like one of the better comforts, especially in a monitoring headphone. Now I did, like I said, let out some of that clamp, which causes it to look, but these are an all-day affair. Pillows. I can tell you one thing about the pillows from using these headphones. It's still over-recorded like a motherfucker. Anyone who's watched Fooly Cooly knows the soundtrack's great, but if you download it or listen to it anywhere, it sounds like ass. So these are absolutely true to that. So build quality, I'm gonna give it like an 8 out of 10. It would be a 9 out of 10 if this weighed less. Like this, just these also don't have any rubber bumpers, so you get that like click. A lot of headphone companies will put a little pad there so you don't get that click, but they didn't. So if you could just lighten this up. I know it's leather, but like they've made this out of like car bumper rubber, and it's just the weight. It's just, that's the only negative I have for the build. You can even use your own cables because it's just a standard 3.5 millimeter. It's a bit deep. It goes in, you know, how far does it go in before we actually touch? Here, I'll put my finger there. Not even that far. So you get one. Let me go through the other 2 cables before I forget. By the way, beautiful box. Stitched logo. Like stitched. Nice texture. Good thickness. You get another case that goes in this case for your wires if you wanted to. The reason wires are so janky is because I put them in this case. I would take this and use it for something else. I don't know. Put a sandwich in there. Like a half-eaten McDonald's hamburger perfectly fits in that. You get the standard coiled cable, which this is the end you put the 1/4 inch adapter on, and this is the end you shove into the headphone. Exact same locking mechanism. Not terrible. Nicely short. I will give it that. If you're going to give me a coiled cable, like having it be less than 4 feet coiled up and then giving me this bit of straight, again, you can straighten out all these fucking cables. They also include, and I thought this was weird, actually that's my connector, you can't have that, Mackie, a 4-pole to 3.5 millimeter small with no lock with a up down play pause control. So if you wanted to take your MC-450s out and about, comes with a portable cable. Again, janky, but time and use will fix that. Time and use fixes all things. So, 10 feet of cable, God almighty. Now on to how they sound, because I've actually done some sound demo editing with these, just a little bit. You know, I don't want to trust them too much because my Neumanns exist. But oh, I forgot I put on the. Oh God, I forgot. Forgot the pillows are still playing. Please undo. Much better. So, what's the sound signature of these Zeos? Like when I get a headphone, is it a bassy headphone? Is it treble focus? Is it mid focus? Is it just warm? Is it sort of V-shaped? And it's been so long since I've gotten a monitoring set of headphones designed for monitoring that when I sat down, I'm like, oh, they're neutral. Fucking neutral. Neutral. And they're an open back. So that's another like super rare, like, okay, I've got closed headphones that are neutral, like the 280 Pros, or the cheapest ones I go with. Those are like the $100. You need a good set of monitoring headphones, you'll have $100. I should plug these into a tube. That's a balanced tube. I don't have a single end. We'll ignore that for now. But there is no defining sound signature for these headphones. I kind of want to compare them to like... See, I can't even compare them to HD600s because they do better treble. Like better... There are better aspects to this headphone than there are for HD600s. And that's spooky. But at the same time, HD600s were never meant to be like a monitoring headphone. They just were this headphone that happened to be pretty fucking solidly neutral that you could scale up in every amplifier and tube until you get this amazing fucking godlike sound. And these kind of remind me of those. A little bit. A little bit. Like the bass is just flat. And the treble, it gets up there, it's flat. But then vocal is flat. It's all flat, but it's not boring. I will say this 100 fucking times. Flat does not equal boring. Flat just means what the artist intended comes through here. And that's what they're supposed to do with the monitoring, a professional mixing reference. It says mixing reference, not monitoring. I should take back the word monitoring. Great for mastering, critical listening, and audiophile. I don't know what audiophile is. I guess it's when you throw all your money at the wall until, you know, your wife leaves you. That's audiophile. But I will absolutely give them this. As much as I'm like, oh, Mackie, please send me other things. I will not shill for them unless they do something good enough. And these are absolutely good enough. They will get the shill. They will get the girls from Helltaker in the business suits because we are... It actually has... It's like listening to a studio monitor, like a good studio monitor, like here. Because the width is not like super narrow. These are wider than HD600s. They're wider than HD600s. They probably... I don't want to keep going into that comparison because that's going to put me in deep shit with a whole lot of people watching. Like, what do you say about HD600? What did this fuck say about HD600s? Oh, shh. Let's go... Other good reference headphones, we'll call it that instead of HD600s. Other good reference headphones don't do width that well. And sometimes they need, like, the thing about a good studio headphone is it won't change much on amps. Now, I've got the Modius and the A90, which is like a good little reference thing. The Modius is certainly a good enough DAC. The Modius is certainly a good enough reference level DAC that it's like, all right, let's balance out, just feed the A90. The A90 is the king of the fucking hill as far as just clean and neutral amplification. So as I'm listening to this, I know exactly that I'm getting cleaner, neutral, cleaner, neutral, cleaner, neutral, whatever the hell's playing. This is it. This is what they fucking figured out in the studio. Man, that imaging on that highs. But I like to put a little bit of stank on things. So I have my own X8 Magic DAC with a changed op amp and the Rebel amp, which is the Class A one that's like a little bit warm. And I just put stuff, the smallest on there. And it's like, Now, another thing, I have this on high gain and this on medium gain. Now, I know this is a balanced amp, and it is weaker than on the single-ended than it is for the balanced. But this, on medium gain at like noon, is still like an impressively... It does not run on air like the Civica Phoenix or anything. These require a bit of power. Like, I can hear everything that's going on in the background. I don't want to say I love these headphones. I don't want to say I love these headphones because then you're going to be like, oh, Zeus, you love everything. Zeus in every headphone sitting in a tree. K-I-S-S-I-N-G. Listen to me, you fuck. Wait. Listen to me right now. I only like things that perform at what I expect or above. Actually, no. At what I expect, Above what I expect, oh. And these headphones have certainly made me go, oh. Mackie, eh? Like, Neumann only makes one headphone. If Neumann, the fucking Neumanns, made an open back headphone, then I would say, okay, these have competition. But no one else makes an open back headphone except for Shure, and if you count the 1990s. So basically, at the price, and these are currently, oh yeah, way less. At the current price, they are way less than 1990s, and frankly might compete directly. From Mackie, from fucking Mackie, like the speaker, like Mackie did not have the greatest reputation 7-10 years ago. But now everything that I get from, other than the sub, that 10-inch sub is sort of like it bottoms out a little bit too easy. But I did not expect, no expectaruno, some random Mackie open back mixing headphone to actually audibly compete with something like the DT1990s. And yet it does. And besides the flaws of like, okay, it's heavy on top and the wires, while easily changeable, am I rolling it over? I rolled over it and shit. You know, I hope to Christ the sound demo came out good. Wait, have I done the sound demo? I need to check. This video needs to come out to patrons early. I did not expect to like these as much as I do. So I'm holding myself back so that you don't all call me a shill. But then again, I've also reviewed some stuff like the Civica Phoenix, where people have watched it and said I didn't shill it hard enough. Like, they're so good at it. And then I talked to DMS, who's like, the Civica Phoenix is terrible, except for 20% of music. And I'm like, what? So then I doubt myself and my own fucking things, and I have to ask other people, and they're like, no, it's great. It's as great as you described. And I'm like, all right. So I have to go with my gut on these and give them a huge recommendation. Huge recommendation. For literally all those things, mastering, critical listening, and audiophile. If you're just looking for like a sub $500 open back headphone, you now have to consider the Mackie 450s. Now, I want to hear the closed back version. I'm hoping they'll send me that, because if it sounds identical to this but is now closed back, then that's it. Those are the two I choose. I choose you, Charizard. 450 is R. I'm gonna get a little piece of blue tack and so it doesn't click anymore. Because they have the comfort, they have the build quality, they have the sound, they're priced correctly. I can't think of anything I'd want to change other than some weight. Ooh. I keep shuffling around different genres, though, just waiting for it to fail. And only in, like, the most intense, loud, fucking violent music Do I feel a little claustrophobic in them? But that's because the most intense fucking violent music is kind of claustrophobic sounding. Like I can't knock them for making the music sound like it does. That's one of the things I have to get around, because most of the time, I've done like 210 headphone reviews now. Maybe 10 of them, 10 total, have been headphones that were designed specifically to give you mixing, accuracy. So I'm sitting here waiting to make bad music sound good, and it won't do it. So good music sounds phenomenal. Bad music sounds exactly as bad music sounds. So that's one of the things you just got to know. If your playlist is filled with fucking then you're going to get very accurately. Although you could just, tube. I gotta get a tube amp hooked up here, because now I'm curious. Curiosity is going to get to me. So Mackie, thank you for sending this to me. Just my own little thing is just lighten. If the balance was like 50-50, I'd be fine. But the balance is way too heavy on top for that. For how light these cans are. They could, oh my God, they'd be just like nothingness. Either make the cups way more and just go with that sort of 50-50 split, or make this thing way less. And after that, there's nothing I'd ask you to change. I even like the fucking box. And it has like a legit foam cutout. Although you do have to close. I don't like the fact that you have to close every headphone when you put it away. Yes, I like these. I like the fact it comes with 3 wires, although they could use a little less jank. I enjoy the way they sound on multiple setups. And they're not impossible to drive. They just do require an amplifier. I want to put that out there. So that's that. I don't know. It's been a while since I've done a headphone review that I'm like, other than the Phoenix, what have I done? It's T16. Yeah, they're good. They're fucking solid. All right, I'm gonna end this. The sound demo to hear these through my recording rig, through your headphones, which will not be good enough to make how these sound unless you have these or the Neumann, because that's how I listen, is in the description. Link to that wallpaper, also all business, all in the description. Links to these, links to the other monitoring headphones that I just talked about. There's only like 5 or 6 that I actually recommend. I know there's cheaper Shores, like the 840s. I recommend those. These are more money than the 840s. Did I say 850s? 840s. These are on $100 more than that. But certainly just for open back. I like open back and mixing. As long as you have a quiet enough environment, which I have a fan running over there, but other than that, you could absolutely do mixing on this. Mixing and mastering. Yeah. If you like this channel, by the way, and you want to see these videos early, $5 a month, either Telegram, either Patreon or Subscribestar gets you into the support tiers that you could see these videos early, ask me any questions you want on platform, and participate in the monthly yard sales where I get rid of stuff. We'll see if Mackie lets me keep these. I don't know if they'll end up in the yard sale. I think I like them too much, but we'll see, because I have a ton of headphones now. Like a ton. Like literally could be 2,000 US pounds of headphones, and I'm stay here for a minute. But anyway, yard sales on the 1st and 10th of every month. If you're international, you pay half the shipping. You can still bid on any item, just pay half the shipping, unless it's a giant bulky item like those speakers. I'm selling those Yamaha HS8s in this month, which you guys are going to miss because this video is going to come out way afterwards. But things like that I have to keep sort of in the continental United States. But the continental United States doesn't pay any shipping, which I should charge shipping on those HS8s. But we'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'll probably lose like $70. So yeah, see these reviews early. Ask me any questions you want on platform. Message me on Patreon, on Subscribestar. I will try to get back to you. Like, it's a try thing. I have quite a few patrons and people on Subscribestar, so getting back to you is delayed. If you don't like waiting for answers, the $10 tier on either Patreon or Subscribestar gets you into the private behind-the-scenes Telegram chat, which is on my phone, which my phone is back there probably buzzing. And people are like selling. One guy showed up and he's like, all I did was pay some dude $10, and now I'm paying some other dude in the UK like $200 to make me a headphone cable. Like, what is happening? And I'm like, that's just, the group in there is crazy. He's in there, by the way, the guy who makes the cables. So yeah, so $10 a month to not have to wait for answers, And then there's higher tiers that give you more privilege, PMs and things like that. But it's great place. Anyway, wallpaper, that Hi-Fi Guides will have these on there. And the Hi-Fi Guide forums, actually this would be really easy because this would be neutral category. The Hi-Fi Guide forums will have a dedicated post for these. And I want to hear what other people think. Someone else has bought these. Let's see how many reviews are on Amazon. 79 ratings, 4.5 star. It's going to be 80 ratings and 4.6 stars. Because honestly, other than the weight of the headband, they're pretty much flawless in every other aspect, which makes it a very boring review. Do you hate when things are fucking great? Ah, fuck, this sucks.